CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 370 outlets in 14 countries. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 370 outlets in 14 countries to embrace the future. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
差不多了，录一录。
赶快闪人，赶快乱回答。
就有些人比较擅长聊天，有些人比较擅长资讯啊。
所以我是资讯多一点，还是闲聊多一点？
你都有，好棒啊！哎呦，你真的好棒！
讲话那么小心哦。
哎呦，你都有啊！哦，你真棒的嘞！
音符那么多，赚很多，很爽啊。
但也没事啦，越是真的很爽。啊，真的好爽啊！怎么样？
真的很爽，
真的好爽嘞！
那是真的有钱啊，但很累啊，对。
那也好爽啊！
一个柱子卡了一下，兵剑出手，然后有 Kilo 帮打，后面一个叫做放不下来，换稍微往下挖口，要倒了吗？差一点点血量，挖口 Kilo 这一招闪现先走，后面的直接开进去，后面推5个，全本是进场直接强行推5个，后面是呼翔在补足了一个大绝的控制，前本先拿下了双杀之后，W 手走了掉，然后闪现再一个无极魔方2段，再一个进场互杀对战，Triple Kill， 前本拿下子弹。到雀巢是 DCG 的 Gary Payton 吗？手套是你卡住了这个窄口，
也不明显。
发动6000，利益怎么变大了？4000点的血量，这一纳还变大，但是花了进场还搭配猫咪的大绝，直接封住这个窄口，准备被点到爆掉了，已经不能打了。哇，就要闪现，但是此时进场的纳已经被秒杀。现在水精灵回到这个洞里面，但是被东山翻3个，东山在此时跳出来了，搭配着顺的这个手上的电光枪。
而呼夏进到了野区里面开始入侵，中路练回去也是还以颜色，明知这里是有大招，但 Gory 目前身上是还没开通
，Gory 在后面，
现在又是想要勾引，但这一次 BYG 是有所防备了，突然来了一波3打3的团战，后面让了一个 TP， 呼夏想要开心，但最终的话是没有办法吸走，然后过来了一个哈拉比，直接一个极地冲刺，让呼夏是当场倒地，突然来了一波大节奏 ，Gory 拿下 Triple Kill，Gory
是用他的这个位在6米制哎。
这半一半要丢出去了，知道有盾，还用那个盾拉吧。哇，守备度很高哎，我觉得还是好猛。这个 Q， 那个大 Q，
菲欧拉他目前是有多一个 TP 的。
Never be afraid to listen, this little girl. Harmoniously.
All I feel is joy.
Cut you off, okay, arrow, blocked here, and everything used now for Wako. Face call, but it takes the support away, he flashes out, the AoE enough, almost the depth gun takes him live, Zenbon, the fine man, when it matters, he comes into count his debut game, they set him up to succeed, Zenbon Sakura.
怎么样？
Side big shot backwards, will it kill him in time? No. As they turn for the play, outside the pitch, forget the Baron. They want to kill them all. As he gets one down though. Shun is still free firing. CCG is free. man. Mission's quiet all game. Then he pops up and hits them with that one. So it feels like right now there is an advantage as we get a mid lane 1v1. Gory with his gone of ducked out. Look at Minji with Flash ulti available, even with Bury coming in. Minji dodges away, goes to the side, jumps in, and he's dead. In an instant, Subjugate's stolen as well, so Gory's now taking up as the Sonic Wave resonating strike turns into a double. What a response here from the mid jungle 2v2. Gory with a triple kill. Clement, the guy might be going Mega now, but there could be a Petra on the cards if High Wing pulls.
Damn, Hanabi was actually about 40% extra HP over YSKM, and YSKM still wins this. He starts off with a precision protocol that was already charged up. He gets the true damage portion to go in, and then those fighters close in onto their targets, but Rest has been incredibly fast.
I mean, no one else is here. There's going to be the grand challenge issue. Rest got to play with the vitals nicely here, but he's now exposed forward. One more. He's going to go to Meganar in time.
Tower shot?
In time. Yes, it is. Rest plays with it. Then.
Evils, ancient and deadly, exist in every corner of the world. They have made themselves comfortable, taking what is not theirs, gorged on the suffering of others. I will face them all and crush them. Lord of the waters, grant me swiftness for this trial. Joy, unceasing and forever. That was fast. Should I have held back? Ha! The epic of Neela does not end here. I slay foes the size of mountains. You were fine, I guess. Ha! Give me 5, demon! Ow! That was way too hard! I will face the great villains of myth and live forever in song. Prepare for death! Now you know what you're up against. I am Neela of the 7th layer. May you find joy in the world beyond. I hope the heavens are watching. I hope they're nervous.
Neela is an endlessly joyful melee marksman who makes waves with the strength of her allies. She steals power from the demon of joy, Ashlesh, siphoning incomparable magic from his prison. With every step, her water whip slays monsters that would destroy the world. So the legends say. Welcome to the Neela Champion Spotlight.
Joy, unceasing and forever.
Neela's passive, Joy Unending, makes ally heals and shields more powerful on her, increasing their value by a small amount. When a nearby ally casts an ability that heals or shields Neela or themselves, Joy Unending buffs both of them for the bonus value. See, everyone's happier when Neela's around.
Joy protect you!
Though she's quick to crush foes, Neela is a caring friend. When she last hits a minion, she'll whip up some bonus experience and split it with the nearest ally.
Such happiness!
Use Neela's Q, Formless Blade, to attack enemies with her water whip. Roll 3d10. Wait, no, that's not right. Formless Blade strikes in a line, damaging all enemies hit. Hitting an enemy increases Nila's attack range and attack speed for a few seconds, and her basic attacks will splash in a cone, dealing additional damage. Formless Blade has a short cooldown. If you hit it consistently, your sustained AoE will wash enemies away.
My waters cut deep.
With Formless Blade's passive, damage against champions will ignore some of their armor and heal Nila for part of the damage dealt. This effect scales with crit chance and can overheal, granting a shield. Nila's W shrouds her in Jubilant Veil, where she briefly gains bonus move speed and dodges all incoming basic attacks. She also takes reduced magic damage to really rain on her enemy's parade. Touching an allied champion hides them in the Veil as well, but they'll be protected for a shorter period. With her demon hunting responsibilities, Nila must be swift as a coursing river. Her E, Slipstream, lets her dash through a target unit, damaging all enemies she passes through. Nila can hold 2 charges of Slipstream at once, and she'll always move for a set distance, so get ready to go with the flow. Cast Formless Blade during Slipstream to pull a wave in your path, dealing damage and activating your empowered attacks. Nila unleashes a surge of power with her ultimate, Apotheosis, lashing her whip in an area around her. With the final burst, she pulls enemies in toward the center. Apotheosis heals Nila for part of the damage dealt, converting any excess healing into a shield. This effect scales the crit chance and is granted to nearby allies. After all, joy is meant to be shared.
Now you know what you're up against.
In lane, longer range opponents can easily poke Nila out, so rely on Joy Unending to keep you healthy and gain extra experience. Nila's self-healing and armor penetration scale with crit chance, so you'll need a few items before you're really whipped into shape. When you're ready to dive in, managing Nila's mobility is key to giving your enemies whiplash. As a melee marksman, she has to be especially alert to stay out of hot water against tanky frontliners and bruisers. Slipstream has a long cooldown, but it holds 2 charges and targets allies as well as enemies. It's a powerful tool for maneuvering around a teamfight, if you use it wisely. Jubilant Veil can also ensure Nila's survival by blocking basic attacks, and you can even use it to protect your teammates in a pinch. There may be an I in Nila, but there isn't one in Team. She wants to be the star of every fight, but be sure to stick with friends who can keep her alive. Without support, your tail might end up with an H2 oh no!
Remember my name.
Nila's true power lies in mid and late game team fights, when your foes are grouped up for cutting down. Activate Formless Blade's passive as often as possible, and you'll topple the greatest of giants. Clump up enemies with Apotheosis, then use Formless Blade to empower your attacks and deal tons of damage. Combined with ally heals and shields, you'll slice through the enemy like a whip sword through butter.
Joyous.
With skill, grace, and a water-bending whip sword, the Joy Unbound will slay with a smile. Continue the epic of Nila at the links below.
And how strong are you?
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 370 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
what is going on here?
That's much better. Well, I suppose better is a relative term. Let me see if I've got this right. You looked upon the infinite cosmos, summoned me into this, admittedly rather adorable form, just so I could teach you about dragons. After all, there's none more qualified to teach you about the Dragonlands than me. Very well then, my bold little protege. I accept. We begin with power. The Dragonlands don't just have magic. They are magic. And where does this magic come from, you might ask? From dragons, of course. Each one powerful, each one an asset, if you are in the right place at the right time. The treasure dragon may offer you gold or ancient artifacts should you meet them. Just don't be greedy. One per lucky mortal customer. You understand? Of course, treasure isn't all that awaits as you traverse the Dragonlands. Make your way to the Draconic Shrines, and you shall be blessed with wondrous effects in battle, which you will no doubt need. Take Pandora's Bench, for example, which transforms champions into, well, other champions. Or Sacrificial Pact, which allows you to exchange experience for health and... well, yes. Visiting a Draconic Shrine indeed augments your abilities. But these are Draconic augments, and thus are far more impressive than anything mere mortals could invent. And next time, raise your hand. Now then, where was I? Ah, yes. While some dragons roam the lands, others are tied directly to them. Astral, Ragewing, Whispers, Shimmer Scale, Jade, Mirage, Tempest. One dragon for each of the 7 major Dragonlands. Starting off strong, these rather imposing creatures can be convinced to fight on your behalf if you can afford their services. As I'm sure you can imagine, each dragon represents a powerful magic, so you would do well to commit their names to memory. Astral, there really is no place like home. I mean we, are as numerous as the stars in the sky. If the heavens align, you shall receive celestial favor in the form of an astral orb, increasing the chance that an astral unit falls into your shop. Better get wishing. I know. Fire and dragons. Such a cliche. But you're thinking too small and too slow. The dragons of Ragewing don't just feel the burn. They channel it, building their rage meters into a frenzy of fast-hitting power. Do you fear dragons that go bump in the night? Well, you should. After all, the Whispers will steal armor and magic resistance from their enemies. It's always those strong, silent types you have to watch out for. And who said all that glitters isn't gold, The magic of Shimmer Scale can make things downright blinding. What with unique items that scale with your gold? I don't look it, but I am practically green with envy. It is dangerous to go alone, so why not bring an army? That is the Jade strategy, after all. Jade statues protect even while asleep, but attack them, and they are bound to wake up. If that is not enough backup, these statues grow in power the more Jade units you possess. No, your eyes aren't deceiving you. Mirage is the most mercurial of the Dragonlands. taking shape only when called upon. The only certainty is that Mirage units will change their approach from battle to battle, allowing you to adapt and bring your victory into focus. Now, where have I seen him before? Our final stop on this tour of the Dragonlands is Tempest. For lesser creatures, lightning never strikes twice. But for Tempest, lightning is a constant current, damaging and stunning your opponents. Make them regret trying to weather your storms. So tell me, are you feeling educated, inspired? Because that is it. The lessons are over. What? Did you think I was going to tell you everything about the Dragonlands? Ha! Now, where would the fun be in that?
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 370 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
I had a dream I was chasing, I was facing intimidation, but I stuck to the basics, none of that public relations, the rest of your was out on vacation. No debate, no conversation, no invade this Slavic nation. I was tested, invested, and blessed, and you guessed it, I made it. waiting for your call, and all I've been risking all. So tell me where to go, tell me where to go tonight. The cold is caving in, my patience paper thin. So tell me if it's wrong, tell me if it's wrong or right. So tell me where to go, tell me where to go tonight. The cold is caving in, my patience paper thin. So tell me if it's wrong, tell me if it's wrong or right. I feel like giving up. You say that it's not enough. Praise me, say that I adore you.
Welcome to the League of Legends Pacific Championship Series. We are headed on to a very special day for tiebreakers to conclude our regular season. We still have 4 slots left open in the postseason to be decided all the way from 2nd to 5th place. But before we go into that, a big thank you, as always, to our tournament organizers, Riot Games, Carry Live, Garena, and of course to our main sponsor, CTBC. You've been with us throughout the entire split. You should know how good a job these guys do for the PCS here. And I am your host and play-by-play today, Lemon Chu, and with me, of course, is Frank Nightstar, looking ever so handsome. I almost avoided that line throughout the entire split, but I had to come back to it because you are absolutely dashing, sir.
I appreciate it. And I think you mostly got to avoid that because of the fact that you weren't casting with me until yesterday.
That is very true. You know, Frank, I've always wanted to ask you, because you have a special connection with Frank Esports here, and they actually have been the hottest team to come into the postseason. 5-win streak so far. What do you think they have done to be able to do this? As we take a look at today, Frank, of course, going to be playing against CFO for the 4th place, and then we have DCG versus J-Team playing for 2nd and 3rd. We're going to be taking a look at the seeding here so far. After today, we're going to be coming back onto the 18th, and either J-Team or DCG, the loser, will be slotted into our first day of playoffs at the 3rd seed, and then CFO and Frank Esports are going to be playing for side selection in M2 on the 9th.
Yeah, when we look at the next matchup, of course, we'll dive further into it later on, but the J-Team DCG has so much ramifications because of how deadly BYG have also looked, right? Yes, they've kind of dropped games to all the teams, and they've also kind of pub stomped all the teams in the league. So this is the biggest joker in our playoff bracket. So I would not be the team that takes that 3rd seed.
We also have to remember the J-Team actually lost to Beyond Gaming in their last game yesterday. So the threat is very real in that one. However, of course, we're coming back to our first one. Frank on the one hand, 5-win streak. CFO on the other hand, lost 3 out of their last 4 games. So what are you thinking about this team, starting with CFO? What's been happening with them?
Yeah, I think the main change has been, of course, Atlan coming into the roster because of Koala's personal issues, and they just haven't figured out how they're actually going to play with these particular 5 players. Their communication structure sort of just has to be rebuilt to a certain degree because of the fact that they don't have their main shot caller available to them. So a lot of things are just really out of order for this squad, and I mean, they would love to just get this win to at least build some confidence. At the same time, these are both teams that are really just playing for that game 1 side selection.
True, and I have to say that neither of these teams, because they actually like different sides, it doesn't seem like too big of a deal. CTBC much better on the blue side, while Frank Esports much better on the red side. So, you know, the side selection might not even hurt them too much. I will add, though, CTBC in terms of the head-to-head, 2-0 against Frank Esports. You know, they seem to be the kryptonite to your organization. So what do you have to say about that?
It all boils down to the fact that Rest is the best matchup against YSKM in our league. When you look at every single other top laner in our league, they just don't hold a candle to YSKM. So Rest is the one player that we say that, hey, if it ends up being sort of that carry versus carry matchup, he does have the mechanical capability to keep up.
YSKM was, I think, solo killed both times against Rest here. Hasn't been having a great time against him. We'll see if the rest of the squad can't catch up, but they've been on fire recently. They've been taking all the names from BSG to BCG, all of them falling to Frank Esports. They have been playing with multiple different compositions. Pretenders Online with a massive swing game yesterday. Honestly, outside of the fact that YSKM might not have a lead against Rest, this team so far looks flawless. Like, what would you characterize as their kind of style, and how should people face them?
Yeah, for Frank Esports, this team has really just improved its consistency all across the board. These players are stepping up, and of course the main engines are still going to be those solo laners, as our highlight matchup is going to be Mission against Pretender. I mean, production probably just, tired of throwing YSKM on the screen so much at this point.
True, we're going to take a look at their stats. A Mission, of course, more of your hyper carry guy. Everyone bans the Azir against him. But if you look at his champion pool, there's a couple of worrying trends here. Mission actually only 25% win rate on his most played champion, the Syndra. I'm not looking forward to that one. While Pretender, I feel like, has been much more malleable with the Ahri and the Swain.
Yeah, for Pretender, the current meta picks are much more in his wheelhouse, and in addition, he's just really improved his lane phase, which was one of the core issues towards perhaps the start of the split and a lot of last split as well. So being able to shore that up allows him to be that big teamfight impact player that we know he is.
We're going to be rolling into the bans right now. Ahri already off the table. They're still going to respect the Fiora.
Oh.
Gnar goes out, and all of the AD carries plus Yuumi are left up here. So, if we have seen anything in the past couple days, it typically has been a very straightforward AD carry trade. But no, CFO going to buck the trend, picking up the Kalista instead.
Securing the Kalista here. Shun gets his hands on this champion. Probably one of our best laning bot laners in our league. Perhaps even the best AD carry in our league. So getting that early game focus is going to really help set win conditions for CFO, which has been sort of what they've felt like they've been lost in when it comes to a lot of these game losses, because they just don't have a clear lane that they're actually going to focus around. And for Frank Esports, they get themselves a Silas pick. Of course, Pretender really rocking this pick lately, and it looks like they want to go ahead locking in AD carry. Zeri actually gets locked in, so of course in the lane phase Zeri's going to really struggle, so we'll need to see what the support pick actually pans out to be in order to shore up some of that laning issues that they might have. And for CFO, I fully expect the Renata to come through, or another very aggressive support.
We don't know if Atlan actually has the pick, but it would be a great surprise right here. CFO, they get their hands on the Azir, a big champion from Mission. Lets him deal damage, lets him play make. We should be getting the support pick in this rotation. Let's see if they just go for the Renata, like you said, or if they want to go with the Yuumi, which they have been playing a lot with from Shun's part, from Atlan, excuse me. At least we know Atlan does play that support to a very high degree. But no, support actually left open here, and they're going to take away Gemini, in my opinion, career-wise, his best champion in the Lee Sin.
Yeah, this is a champion that I've been really surprised that Gemini hasn't picked up much more in the past games, because when he gets this champion in his hands, CFO actually have an early game, whereas when he's pretty much put on every single other champion, it really just relies on Mission to do a lot of the heavy lifting during the early mid-game portions of the game to actually find win conditions and play for win conditions for the side of CFO. And Frank Esports, they'll go ahead, settle in on the Viego. This has been one of their staple picks, and mostly it's because of the fact that they tend to take the game very slow and methodically, and get to the point where Viego can have some of those pop-off teamfight moments once all those lanes have really worked their magic and gained leads in their lanes.
Yeah, I think we all remember Kongyue's Viego from yesterday. All of all of the swaps that he was able to do with the passive. Now Frank Esports going to take away the Renata, the obvious one on the board. Also the GP, while we see CFO going to be targeting out the support pool here with the Yuumi. Let's see if they go even deeper into Karis' champion pool. You know, Karis has been playing a lot of that Nautilus, but taking away the Jax. Yeah. Like, even when Rest has been winning the matchup, they are going to give him the respect due to such a good top lane.
Now, when I'm looking at the top lane matchup, the clear take would be the Gwen here for Rest if you're looking for a blind pick champion. So it's just a matter of, does YSKM have a carry matchup for this particular matchup, or maybe Rest decides to pivot towards something like a Sejuani, which is of course a very it offers a lot of flexibility because you can really play away from him, but not necessarily the champion you want to take into YSKM.
All right, we'll see what CFO does here. They're still missing a top laner and a support. We don't really know about Atlan's pool at this point, so it could really be anything. Nautilus gonna come through. Pretty standard, just hard engage. And the Gwen is really interesting to me because it's such a powerhouse. It doesn't always have to rely in lane, but we have also seen YSKM just destroy this matchup on multiple champions. Yeah. So leaving that red side land pick open, you know, we think about the Camille that's been good for him. And YSKM just has so many damn champions that he can pick from. It does look like the Camille instant lock-in, so Frank Esports already with the strong, a lot of engage on this composition.
Plenty of engage and very clear conditions to get that first reset for Hollow as well, right? You go in with the Camille and just sort of dive squad with the Viego and the Sylas, and it almost feels like it's going to be guaranteed to get that first reset. And okay, right now, Clement, I'm seeing Shun on the Nautilus.
Yeah. They do still have a couple of seconds to swap, so you know it's possible that we get Shun back onto. I don't know why you're looking so surprised. It's not confirmed just yet, so I would chill.
That's interesting. I mean, Atlan only played the Yuumi, right? I believe that was his 3 games of support, so it's not exactly showcasing that he has the greatest champ pool, and maybe Shun's just like, you know what? Just let me at him. I'll hook him up. And Atlan, he is somewhat comfortable on this Kalista pick, so maybe it's more about the comfort here.
Well, we'll check out who actually gets the AD carry in the loading screen. Never mind, actually, we're gonna have to wait all the way until we go directly into game for that one. But I want you to talk me through some of our compositions here. I think Frank Esports, we've established reset, you know, sort of dive pick, get your first kill. But what is CFO trying to do here?
CFO have a pretty standard front to back sort of composition with the Kalista Azir as the baseline, and that means there is a decent amount of peel for this backline because you have an Azir. The one issue is, can it survive the endless amount of engage coming out, because there's a ton coming their way, and if Atlan never gets locked down and he dies, it's going to be a lot of their damage gone. And we also know Mission, if he gets punished in the lane phase, he could just be completely knocked out of the game entirely, just way too early on in the game.
Yeah, we've seen that happen a couple of times already. And here we go back to the tiebreaker, our first tiebreaker of the day. This is going to decide the seeding between 4th and 5th. And pragmatically, it's only going to come down to who gets the first game side selection. So there is still some stuff on the stakes. But not, I wouldn't say the biggest of stakes necessarily. CFO, they are going to do a level 1 invade into the top spot, spotted out by YSKM. I did not see them force a hook shot in level 1, and it seems like Frank Esports are going to get the vision advantage with the deep ward on red buff.
Yeah, nice little play coming out from CFO to try and fish for a catch onto YSCam, but YSCam actually walking out of that tri bush to scout ahead, just get a little bit of vision, actually pays off quite nicely in that situation. And that means he gets to keep, well, I suppose he doesn't really have a flash to keep in this situation, but he does get to keep that skill point on his E if he, which I assume he probably wouldn't want at level 1.
Yeah, I definitely think you want the probably the sweep or the Q level 1 a little bit stronger.
Either
there.
option feels better.
Oh, Shun just going to start a level 1 fight right off the bat, going on to the Alistar. Very standard try and punish. The Ignite goes down, and Karis nearly falls here. Great trade coming in. Ignite for Flash in the bottom side already.
Alan on the Callista. That'll be a big focus because of the fact that perhaps the more skilled AD carry of this duo is Shun. Yet Atlan perhaps not comfortable on playing any of the support champions. So Shun taking up the mantle in this instance, it's going to put him under quite the microscope. Yet this level 1, good start there.
And we're taking a look at the level 2 trades top lane. Res already establishing quite a comfortable position. An interesting start from YSKM as well. He actually started Longsword. Typically it has been something else. Level 2 all in trade. Yeah, just like tap here and there, but level 2 is going to be equalized out. And mission against Silas early on. Finding himself in a comfortable position, shoving it in to be somewhat expected here.
Yeah. This matchup is going to be really about how much CS can Pretender get under the relentless pressure coming in from Mission on this Azir pick. Who, when it comes to lane dominance, that's definitely been Mission's trademark. Outside of lane can be a bit of a struggle, but for Pretender, it's been sort of the complete opposite. Lane phase, not so great, but when it comes to these team fights, that's where he really does shine.
Whoops, it looks like they actually forgot to give the Dark Spear over earlier on. They had a very early level 1 invade, and I just think that because of the need to get to the invade, they actually didn't use the Dark Spear. So, wow, that's actually pretty big.
It's not too costly because of the fact that the W can be hard to apply and you don't skill it up until level 3 anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
So the extra damage you're getting there, maybe not so relevant in this instance. And whenever you go for a level 1, it is very difficult to throw down the spear in time before everyone leaves the base.
Absolutely, and we're going to be taking a look at the first potential gank coming in. Holo wants to alleviate some pressure on this bottom side. Lots of wards and Scuttle coming in. And we do have double TPs onto the top lane. This is where you see the Camille get a lot more powerful as she does pack Machine here. So do you think any of these matchups are going to be shifting in favor of Frankie Sports a little bit more after this first back?
YSCam certainly in PowerPoint, right? Because of that extra Sheen purchase. And when it comes to the spot lane, even if you do get some items onto the Zeri, it's not going to have quite the impact that any sort of itemization that you get on the Callisto would, at least at this part of the game, right? Where this is very much in Callisto's wheelhouse. Gemini coming in for a fast gank.
Ooh, there is no flash onto YSCam. Can he get out with the hook shot? He's going to try, but the Q still does land. Red buff applied. A couple auto attacks going through. YSCam actually turning this one around for some extra HP. Plays it nicely, but he still has the base here. He's only on 200 HP.
Yeah, will be forced to recall in this situation. I don't think he's too unhappy about the situation, though, as Hollow will be spotted on that ward. And now he's going to make his way up top lane to probably help break that freeze for YSCam after he clears the Krugs, of course. As the wave, not in a great spot, but because of the fact that Hollow is up here, should be just fine.
Yeah, and Holo, I think he is going to establish some vision there into the top side. Oh, actually, that was from YSCam earlier on. But they do need a hover just to prevent a repeat gank from coming in. In the meantime, we're looking at Gemini trying to bait out Pretender here. Both of them now with the Emperor's Divide, so this could get real spicy real fast. See Pretender fishing for the abduct, but doesn't land. Mission just going to continue to push away as we see the first Drake being started here by CFO with that winning bottom.
Yeah, winning bottom lane, also winning mid lane with just a lot of priority. Coming in from the Zir. Almost 20 CS lead here for Mission, which is exactly what we expect out of our best laning mid laner in the league. All things considered, this doesn't seem too bad of a spot for Frankie Sports. We do like the scaling offered by the squad. The only carry you're really worried about later on in the game, I would say, is going to be Mission on the Zir. So perhaps they're going to try to roam the Alistar to apply some pressure onto the Zir pick now.
Seems to be a good first step to get on the board. Neither team has a first blood, but in we go with the Hextech Ultimatum. The Camille does land the stun, and there goes Rest. No flash, can't get out of the situation. Holo with a beautiful engage as well. And that will be Camille off to a roaring start. Should it overtake the gold lead? I think she will get a plate here too.
Pretty smooth execution there. And this is exactly what we outlined in the draft, right? Where this is all set up to just get that first reset very easily for Hollow. And we just see it in pretty much perfect execution in that instance. Not in a teamfight setting, mind you, but it also still showcases how simple it is. You just throw the Hextech Ultimatum and everyone just targets that target because you get the knockback even once we get into the teamfight portion. And you just get the kill.
Yeah, that seemed so incredibly easy. There's nothing really Rest could do here, and I feel like this is one of those comps where the Gwen Hollowed Mist doesn't actually do all that much from you. Like, you prevent Zeri, but the rest of them can still deal a lot of damage.
Yeah, you still get a little bit of the damage reduction, but certainly you're not getting the most value out of it regardless. And it's going to really come down to the ult usage. Of course, in the current iteration of Gwen, she's almost like a nuke with that ultimate, where she does get the Shadow Flame is just so much magic pen that if it applies onto multiple members, you're shredding people incredibly hard on top of just healing loads of HP.
And taking a look at the jungler positions right here, we did have Gemini backing up Rest on that push in the bottom side, and then a little bit of an adventure for carries as he drops multiple wards onto the bottom lane. We could be seeing a dive if it does happen. You know, the Alistar great with that, and of course Hollow great with that as well. Hollow gonna go for a repeat gank. Rest, of course, still no flash, and the Hextech Ultimatum just about to come up. Ooh, catch on that one. Let's see if he does go for it. Seems like they'll wait a while, just dropping the control ward onto this one.
And this is also great for the bot lane of Frankie Sports right now as well, because of the fact that there hasn't been any kills happening down there. You are pretty confident in being, hey, this Zeri should outscale, but now here comes a repeat.
Hextech Ultimatum to start. There's not much Rest can do about this. Let's see the needle work. He is able to dodge out of the hook shot, and Ignite goes down. Can he actually find the 1v2? He does get that kill. Polo does clean that up in the end, but what a great play coming in from Rest.
Gemini on the flank.
Rest looking for his opportunity to go in onto this one. Shin also fishing for a chance at the tower dive. They drop the Herald. 3 plates already taken down here. Excuse me, that's actually just gonna be 4. I can't count right now. And CFO gonna look for even more onto the bottom side.
This is a great spike for the side of CFO. They managed to trade 1-for-1 up in the top lane. You would, for Frankie Sports, a little bit disappointing that they weren't able to keep YSKM alive in this situation. It's still a gank that sort of pays off, at least being able to continue to slow Rest down to a certain degree. But this is what we also expect out of Rest, right? He is one of the few players that can turn these player down situations or 1vx situations into an even trade.
Yeah, what beautiful diving there coming in from Rest. He manages to get out of the hook shot, then turn things around. The stun would have killed him for sure. Very good nimble movements on this Gwen. Helps him stay out of harm's way. And then we have YSKM's favorite trade. He loves going underneath tower to find the second proc of the Precision Protocol. Let's see if Gemini can survive this. As a flash in from Carries 2, Gemini does manage to flash backwards and kick him out. We have the potential 3v3 on our hands right now. Carries going in for more, but he's going to run into the Nautilus. A double two-man knockup. Hollow Ignite already going down onto him, and the face call goes through each side, trying to punch through the front line from each other. But so far, no names have been taken, and we do have Azir and Pretender both roaming down here, so the fight is called off.
And that situation was definitely very, very tense as the side of CFO tried to continue the engage to allow those stacks to continue building up. However, Frankie's was able to defuse the situation, reset the moment, and then give them an opportunity to really turn things with the Zeri.
Whoa, YSKM trying to find this 1v1 versus Rest. He has the Ignite advantage, but Rest has help here. YSKM going to, I believe that was a visual blood, going to walk through the choke right there, but Gemini is still there. He's in the 1v3, nowhere for him to go, and Azir finds the kill. Bit of an overchase from YSKM.
Yeah, one of those rare fumbles from YSKM where he knows, well, the jungler was just seen in that bot lane. We're taking Dragon, so you're not going to have jungle support in the area to help you out, yet he continues to go for a deep invade, looks for the trade, and ends up getting heavily punished. So YSKM set behind, and once more, CFO's style or way of winning over Frank Eastwards feels pretty similar to what happened in the past two matchups.
Yep, this is a 2-for-0 in the favor of CFO. They've won both head-to-heads, and they've looked very similar in how the games turned out. It's just Frank Esports, you've got great laners. Well, guess what? CFO has even better ones. Yeah. So it just always seems to be the case that Frank Esports are delayed in their game plan. Would you say that Frank Esports are necessarily feeling pressured, because their composition is still very strong and it relies a lot on movement outside of the lanes?
Yeah, the issue with moving outside of the lanes is the fact that Frank Esports, that's been really their weakest part of the game. They don't break out of the lane phase willingly very often. Usually it's after they've accumulated a lot of leads in the lane phase, and now Pretender.
Shun coming back is going to find the stretch line and the death charge, but Pretender's still able to walk away with the flash. We have Frank looking for a potential re-engage, but CFO already moving off that. They know the sweeper is down, so not going to chance it. Not going to give them any opportunities here, and we are going to start our Herald. Frank doesn't look like they want to contest this one as the support staff moves towards the bot side.
And still, the scaling is going to be on the side of Frank Esports to a degree, because you do have the Zeri, who should be able to outrange a lot of these champions later on, and the Zeri hasn't been punished. So while Atlan on the Callista has been able to keep up and farm plates as well, he hasn't been able to accelerate that lead. And M&M is in a very comfortable position to start really making an impact soon.
This feels like CFO caught, Frank Esports caught off guard in the lane allocation. They're going to lose both of their mid lane towers, while M&M is still trying to get the bot lane. Yeah, that's going to be the second charge of the Herald, but onto the third tower in this push here by CFO. A massive power play that does send them ahead with a very comfortable gold lead now.
This is definitely a lot of extra map pressure now given over to the side of CFO. it's not necessarily a ton of gold, right? It's just 1,500, which at 16 minutes into game isn't insane. But now you can start really applying pressure and choking Hollow out of his jungle, because there are no mid towers left available at this early point in the game. So if you constantly take away three camps, or maybe even just 2, that's, you know, 200-300 gold denied and 200-300 gold gains by your side. So these camps, if they get stripped away from him, it will slowly grow that lead for CFO.
We are going to get a Mountain Soul this time around, and Frankie Sports going to try and secure this area. I do want to ask you, if it does come to a big team fight right now, who do you see coming out ahead here?
I would tend to favor Mission just because he has such a large power spike, right? He has the sword boots, he has the Ludens, he also has a large rod on top of it. And while Pretender can have a big impact because he's simply Silas, the raw amount of poke damage coming out from Mission will be incredibly difficult to deal with at this point in the game.
See how this fight goes down. We just saw the TP coming in from Pretender. Looks like they want to fight this one. Camille can find her way with the TP as well. CFO already starting onto the objective, but Pretender is close. He takes the Emperor's Divide. He's looking at a chance to strike. Carries on the front side. It will be a 4-man shove coming in from Pretender. Massive stuff here done right there, but it will be Holo going down first, and then the real Emperor's Divide coming in through by Mission. Frankie Sports strike first, but they can't find the targets, and CFO also walk away with the objective.
Oh my god, it was definitely very, very close, and Pretender, he finds the angle to actually get a massive 4-mana Azir ultimate. But the issue was, Clement, he had the crown popped before, so he lost a lot of damage because of that. And again, this is just the amount of damage gap coming in from Mission. He's untouched in this fight. He's the one person that doesn't get targeted, and he has double pen completed along with an additional large rod. It is insane the amount of damage this champion is outputting this early in the game. Yes, it might not be great later on because you're into essentially 4 bruisers, but at this point in the game where there's no magic resistance built up, man, he is doing a lot of threat.
Well, what happened to Holo right there? Actually, did 0 damage in that fight. So CFO seemingly with an impeccable target selection there.
4v3.
We'll see. CFO looking like they want to
that's
take
an
this
ultimate.
death charge actually from Frankie Sports. There's
Teleport
going to be a back TP here coming in from Gwen, and they just let Pretender be. That seemed a little bit weird for Frank.
Yeah, that was a situation where once they saw that teleport come through, because they also know that YSKM didn't have his available, they just decide to bail out. And unfortunately, that's going to be another death for actually only Pretender's first death. So still going to slow him down quite a bit, and they are just playing on different, they're playing a different game, I guess, because CFO it feels like they've been playing PvE.
Yeah, they've been moving around so well just in the laning phase and getting to objectives first. We haven't seen a big contest from Frankie Esports, and the only one time they tried was actually a disaster. I'm so surprised that despite there was a 4-man Emperor's Divide from Pretender, Holo and YSKM just, I think they were just completely on the wrong side of the fight. They got focused down before doing anything. Yeah, just so weird to see that one happen. And now we have a massive 4,000 gold lead. CFO decidedly in the lead here. I'm looking at, I'm trying to think of angles where Frankie Sports can come back into this one. And we do have to remember, they're playing for their postseason preview right here. It's going to be looking really bad if you head into this matchup with a 0-3.
Yeah, it definitely will be a big knock on the confidence. And now they're collapsing onto YSKM. It's going to be a 1v3 situation, and while you are slippery, a lot of people.
He tries to dodge to the left side to avoid the needlework, walks into the death charge, and well, there goes
3
YSKM.
ults for that though.
True.
I mean, it's as worth as you can get in that situation if you're YSKM. Being able to burn 3 ultimates, unfortunately, Frank Esports not one of those teams that see those sort of timing windows and just immediately go for a hard engaged flip intention. And now they might just lose this inhib tower at 22 minutes.
Oh, Fate's Call being used right here. Shouldn't went a little bit too
Pretender
far.
on the backside.
Pretender still looking for a chance to engage right here. YSKM also does have the teleport. If they find any chances. Nope, and the crown is also popped right here. So it seems like we are just going to start setting up into the next break. See both of these sides converging really quickly. Wonder if CFL want to finish that channel. They actually do. With Frank Esports, if they call the front, they could just walk in onto the objective here. See if Carries finds anyone. Oh, does see the Azir.
Oh no.
Okay. Already a back.
Be an opportunity for them to establish control in the river area at the very least. It's just a matter of can they stop the side of CFO from walking back into this area, and it doesn't look like it's to be.
Yeah, they do have the hollowed mist from Rest though, something we should pay attention to. And taking a look, Emperor's Divide still there. CFO are going to start this. It would be Mountain Soul Point for them. Frank Esports doesn't look like they're going to be playing the flank in this one, just a front-to-back formation. Lots of poke coming through. MNM already taking some damage, and CFO decidedly on the objective already. YSKM trying to feign with the hook shot here. Rest going to go forward with the Hollow Mist and just zone everyone away from the objective. Frank Esports going to go in though. Rest takes a lot of damage. He could just be falling down. Shun onto the back line, and they get the kick onto MNM, but it's not enough. No follow-up just yet. They're going to use the Emperor's Divide. Just finish that one up. Gemini goes down. It's going to be jungler for the objective.
At the very least, Frank Esports managed to dig something out of it. But at the same time for CFO, they just continue to win out. Gemini on this Lee Sin pick and Mission on the Zir pick. Really demanding a lot of the situation here. So a lot of things that Frank Esports aren't super good at, which is the early game and also being able to set up objective control. Those are really getting preyed upon in this particular game because you have just a lot of smite secure coming in from both the Lee Sin and the Kalista, and then you just have a lot of that early game pressure coming in from Mission's Azir.
Yeah, and CFO are pretty happy to just play the zone game here. Frank Esports, we talked about their winning strategy. It's about getting that first kill, but it seems so hard to do right now. The Fate's Call, also a great counter to this strategy. Shun now leading the charge into the enemy jungle. They are grouped up as 4 here. See if Frank wants to try their luck, maybe catch someone out. Polo going to be fishing with a hollowed path here. They're not going to find any stragglers so far. Meanwhile, really want to see what can be done into the bottom side. YSKM getting some alone time, and the Baron is started. Frank, catch wind of this. They do have to flash on Polo. YSKM going to TP in here, and Gwen is still so far away. This could be Frank Opportunity's chance. They start the fight onto Shun. It's going to be a 4-man death charge, and that buys enough time already. But a 2-man stun into the backline. Shun already down. Polo gets his first kill. Allen's got nowhere to go. It's going to be a wipe here. And 3 for O. Double kill for YSKM. Only Mission limping away, and Gwen didn't even join the fight.
Trying to save that additional Baron buff. It is not to be. It will be Frank Esports. While they give up the Baron buff, they managed to remove 4 of those champions. Okay, this is kind of a little bit crazy, guys. They managed to get that extra bounty gold on that top tower after brute forcing it. So we get to see the replay. It's really just the side of CFO. They're committed to the Baron, but they're trapped in the pit now. They have nowhere to go. They've overcommitted in their positioning, and because Rest isn't there to buy space with that ultimate and hollowed mist, it just allows Frank Esports to just walk into the pit and destroy them all. So at the very least, Rest walks out with 1, and that's going to allow him to try and hold some of the hold his own in the side lane. But look at that Baron power play, Clement.
That's probably the worst Baron flip I've seen in quite a while here. The positioning was so weird from CFO. Obviously, Gwen not in position, but also Azir didn't try to cover the path at all there.
Yeah, he didn't cover any flanks, didn't cover any entrances, and it was just all onto Nautilus. And Nautilus has a lot of CC, but he's not scary enough to scare away 4 people running at him. So unfortunately, that was the situation. So Shun, not a whole lot he could do there to actually help his team get out of that spot.
CFO are just going to push without their Baron carrier in the Gwen. 3-man push. They do see Pretender on the top side, so they're probably feeling okay with this one as they move towards the bottom. But correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like Frank Esports are ready to fight now with all those kills they just got.
They're definitely plenty strong. There's an engage possibly. You do want to look for an engage before the crown gets popped, and crown does get popped, so you're not going to get the bonus damage coming in from that item. And I haven't been too thrilled with this crown purchase so far, Clement. Seems like every single time he walks up to try and steal an ultimate, he gets it popped, and you lose pretty much half of the item's impact at that point. You'd much rather see an Everfrost being able to dive in and really lock people down with both the Zir ult and the Everfrost active.
We have a TP directly onto the cannon right here. It looks like both sides trying to get a better positioning, come in onto the fight. Rest gets caught off on the right side, loses about 1/3 of his HP, and they're going to go for the potential Mountain Soul right here. YSKM shot just used Pretender. This is great positioning. He goes in. It's going to be a 3-man Emperor's Divide, but both Holo and Pretender just are immediately killed, and the real Emperor's Divide comes through. That's going to be a triple kill for the Gwen. Nowhere for Zeri to run, and CFO get a perfect ace.
It's a 5-0, and that might just be straight up the game. 29 minutes. These Death Tamers are fairly lengthy. CFO, they can just push for the win in this situation, and Frank Esports, they bet it all on that fight, and they come out with nothing.
I'm so surprised at how one-sided that fight actually was. It looked like Pretender got a great angle and we were going to get a repeat, but didn't happen this time around. Great stuff from Rest, gets the triple at the end, and also finds the 3-0 over Frank Esports this split. You can tell CFO are overjoyed. They're going to get side selection for game 1, and also a big morale blow to their playoff opponents.
Frank Esports being the 0-3 season record against CFO. That's not going to feel too great going into playoffs. Of course, it will be a completely different meta once we start playoffs, so a lot of things will be changing, and there's also 2 weeks to prepare, and both of these teams do have a lot to prepare, right? Because for the side of Frank Esports, it's about being able to figure out how do we play if YSKM doesn't get a hefty lead up in that top side, and if he doesn't have the ability to just solo kill the top lane over and over again very early on. And for the side of CFO, it's about getting this momentum and figuring out how they actually want to play with this 5-man group. Are they going to have Atlin be the AD carry with Shun on support, or is it going to be more of a fairly fluid situation? As we get to see the replay of this last fight, again, if you're running Crown, you need to be able to engage on the dime when you still have that Crown passive available. And they just wait too long every single time. It just had such small impact. And once you secure the Mountain Dragon as well, the extra resistances on top of the shield makes it very hard for the Zeri at this point in the game to punch through that additional shielding.
That was so unlucky from the side of Pretender there. What I just saw was Shun still got the depth charge mid-air. He was like flying backwards and he got the depth charge, and then Holo got knocked up as well, and they both died before they landed.
Yeah. I mean, Mission was just so fed.
Unlucky.
He was just so fed.
Yeah.
He had Shadow Flame completed so early on. He had Ludens along with the Zanya's Hourglass for that last fight. So he was just packing so much power that they weren't able to shut him down early on. We've seen the recipe to slow down CFO. That is to gank him in the lane phase very early on. They just didn't find the path to do so. They didn't get this Alistar out roaming about fast enough and actually having an impact on the map. And you know, Shun actually looks like the better support in that instance.
Yeah, definitely great performances on the Nautilus. And if you're Frank Esports, you're looking at the 3 games you've played. Do you know what your opponent is capable of? What are you how are you going to use your preparation time? Because we have 11 days before we come back into the playoffs. What type of strategy, if you were the coach, would you try to drive for?
Yeah, for Frank Esports, perhaps the priority in the picks was the mistake in that instance. Maybe if they were to get the Azir for themselves, maybe that would have helped. Because Pretender didn't get any jungle attention, and you saw him just get absolutely pummeled in the lane phase by Mission. And also the Viego pick. This pick works great if your solo lanes are able to deliver, but because they were behind, you would have much rather seen something like a Trundle to try and slow down and impact this Kalista lane early on, to run around, throw it on the pillar, try and burn summoners, at least for some sort of early game pressure elsewhere.
The strategy here pretty simple for CFO. You got your solo lanes covered. You just pick Kalista for bot lane. No surprises here. MVP gonna go to Mission 3-1-5 in KDA. 41% of the team's damage. And this is why you ban his Azir. Safe in the laning phase, long range, plenty of care potential late.
Yeah, he can be lane dominant like the Syndra with this pick, but you can also dodge ganks if they come your way. Unfortunately, for Frank Esports, they didn't even throw ganks at him, so he didn't even have to try and use that portion of his kit. And CFO, they sort of, while really stumbled towards the end of the regular season, do really come back in a big way, and perhaps this will be the method of attack with having Shun on these, or not Shun, but Atlan on these early game carries, and to stabilize the lane phase and allow Shun to be more of that support character.
So that's going to be our first game of the tiebreakers. After we come back, it's second place up for grabs between DCG and J-Team. Don't go anywhere.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 370 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
time. Till the end of time. Till the end of time. Love you till the end of time. Girl, I want you every night. Come on over. Girl, we do this every time. Come on over. Love you till the end of time. Till the end of time. Till the end of time. Love you till the end of time.
I had a dream I was chasing, I was facing intimidation, but I stuck to the basics. None of that public relations, the rest of y'all was out on vacation. No debating, no conversation, no invading this sovereign nation. I was tested, invested, and blessed, and you guessed it, I made it. I had a dream I was chasing, I was facing intimidation, but I stuck to the basics. None of that public relations, the rest of y'all was out on vacation. No debating, no conversation, no invading this sovereign nation. I was tested, invested, and blessed, and you guessed it, I made it. I'm waiting for your call, and all I've been risking all. So tell me where to go, tell me where to go tonight. The cold is caving in, my patience paper thin. So tell me if it's wrong, tell me if it's wrong, alright.
So tell me where to go, tell me where to go tonight. The cold is caving in, my patience paper thin. So tell me if it's wrong, tell me if it's wrong or right. I feel like giving up. You say that it's not enough. Praise me, say that I adore you.
All that you love is a feast for the lions. What does it feel like? Hold my hand, I can be your eyes. It's fleeting in this space. Stars to fight, stars to fire. We'll keep the heat on high, and we'll let it simmer, let it. We'll fly the line, break the rush, turn the tide. It's big enough. We'll find a time and still alive. Yeah, darling, forever give it up. Yeah, darling, forever give it up. Yeah, darling, forever give it up. The boiling point as we know it is close to frozen. What a time to feel alive. We'll be by the river when the floodgates are open. I think about it all the time. Stars to fight, stars to fire. We'll keep the heat on high, and we'll let it simmer.
We're back into the PCS tiebreakers, and we saved the best for last. This is the most impactful game throughout the entire split. The winner gets over to the second place, and the loser might just drop out to Beyond Gaming. We're going to thank our sponsors first here, Riot Games, Carry Life Arena, and of course CTBC that just got their side selection earlier today. And welcome back, Nightstar. Let's go through J-Team versus DSG. The stakes could not be higher as they both lost to Beyond Gaming in the second round robin.
Yeah, so for whichever team that does end up dropping this particular game, they'll have to take a best of 5 into Beyond Gaming. And while I would still favor the higher seed against Beyond Gaming, regardless, I mean, Beyond Gaming, it feels like they have figured something out. So they are an extremely dangerous squad, and both DCG and J-Team do have pretty critical flaws of their own. So this is by no means just a done deal if it is that matchup against Beyond Gaming.
We're going to take a look at the rosters. DCG, starting with side selection here. Leaky, Hana, Nessie, Chris Kata, and Woody. What a surprise this team has been. They had a very real chance of contesting for first place versus PSG, but those hopes were dashed. And we are going to come up here with I think they have a very similar game plan. You know, the Talia is so strong. They won the last matchup versus J-Team on the Swain, so we know that mid game is likely coming through.
Yeah, for Deep Cross Gaming, Nesty feels really comfortable with his champion pool in this particular meta, has a lot of options to go to, whereas in the last split, he really struggled to find those picks to actually have impact. It was pretty much Ari or bust to a certain degree towards the end of the split. So I think this is a great look for Deep Cross at the moment. They also are going to be on the blue side, which is somewhat an interesting avenue to explore because of the fact that J-Team have not lost a game on blue side in particular. So yes, if J-Team are going to lose, it's going to be on this red side.
We'll see if J-Team can shake the red side curse for themselves. They had such a good last week. They went 5 games into the win streak, but dropped the final one versus Beyond Gaming to miss out on the opportunity of contesting BSG. Big loss right here, but they have a chance to redeem themselves. They are still playing in their own base due to the previous COVID situation. And talking about the champion pools a little bit, we're going to be taking a look at the bottom side. And so I've said this, but I think mechanically he's probably the best support that we've had this split. And in the meantime, Woody was also one of our weekly MVPs to come in here. So big strides for both of these players.
Yeah, Enzo really showcasing his champion pool diversity when it comes to the support role. And when you look at the other previous best supports that we have in our region, that's Kaiwing, that's Kino. This meta has not felt very comfortable for either of those two players. So Enzo really feels like he's overtaken both of them to secure himself the temporary #1 best support in this split. As we are hopping into pick and ban, the Talia does get removed off the table by the side of J-Team. They don't want to give that over to Nesty.
And we were talking about the big 3 from the mid laners right here. Ari, Talia, and then the Silas for Uniboy. And for Nesty, we have Ari, Talia, and I think Galio and Swain actually as the next one. So interesting champion pools right here. I feel like they're pinching Uniboy quite hard. Kalista also going to be taken off the board, while Gwen being banned away from Leaky in the top side. All of the prio supports 80 carries open, but DCG are going to focus down Uniboy. They're going to take away his big 3.
I feel like for J-Team, you're perfectly happy with locking in the Zeri X, and then on R3, you just go ahead and lock in the Zir here, just because you know that Korea, he's got a diverse enough champion pool, and Rock, maybe not the most diverse, because of the fact, well, we know he has a good champion pool. The issue is J-Team still aren't really used to playing top side, so it does limit his effective champion pool in that regard. So maybe J-Team decides to say, hey, we need to secure a safe blind pick here on R3 for Rock in this instance.
Ooh, GCG gonna take away the rundown angle from J-Team as they lock in the Vi and the Sivir here. J-Team, on the other hand, trying to think about what to play for Uniboy. He's got a big champion pool, but his most played are gone. Ooh, they're going to go for, I guess, a more carry and defensive setup here with the Azir.
And this feels very much similar to the matchup that we had in the previous game, right? Uniboy, the more lane dominant player gets the Zira in his hands, and Nesty, very similar to Pretender, not very strong in lane and looks to really have more of his impact in the team fight phase, and he's going to be on the Silas. So it's just a matter of how much CS is Nesty able to snag up during the lane phase, and how hard can Uniboy just smash this matchup.
We have DCT trying to target out some of the early prio jungles here. Xin Zhao off the board. Let's see if they go for the bundle, maybe a Lee Sin here. Take that one out.
Yeah, I would love to see the Lee Sin get removed, because Gemini, as good as he's been on this champion, Konya is just as good when he gets that champion in his hands. And, okay, they go ahead and remove the Trundle. Also a noteworthy ban, but it's not quite the same because of the fact you well, actually, maybe it's because they just want to make Cascada comfortable because of how Trundle can make things difficult for the Sivir, but surely it's going to be a Lee Sin and just say...
J-Team's still going to hold on to that jungle pick for later. They're going to be going into the Sejuani early on, so securing big engage here. DCG, Leaky has played, let's see what else he's played. He's played the Mordekaiser a lot, quite into the Sejuani, and this would still be a very strong pick with the speed up here.
Yeah, this was my issue with locking in the top lane so early on, is that Leaky has a pretty comfortable champion pool set to play into weaker top lane champions or exploitable top lane champions. And there we go. We get to see the Mordekaiser come out yet again. He's had a lot of success on this champ. So I feel like DCG are given a bit of a gift in this situation. And I have to imagine for J-Team, it's going to come down to maybe a Talon or a Kiana pick, some really big curveball pick that they want to come out with. Because if it ends up being a Viego, I don't see
They read your mind, but in the wrong direction.
Sure, you have the lane set up to maybe take advantage of it because you expect Azir in the hands of Uniboy to heavily dominate this matchup. And playing towards topside for the Sejuani can be effective because of how you're able to proc the Sejuani passive very quickly. That said, I have not been very enthused by Viego picks lately, Clement. They just feel so weak.
Hey, but Kongria Viego, maybe Kongria Viego is pretty cool.
But he could also just win the game with Lee Sin.
That's very true. Actually, I have no good response to that one. It does feel like Kongria just wants to carry extra potential here, but we're going to go over the compositions a little bit. DCG running tons of bruisers, tons of engage, while J-Team, I'd say late game carry with a big tank. Maybe front to back. How do you see these compositions lining up?
I expect them to play heavy topside early on, throw some attention to make sure that Lil V doesn't get set behind, but this is yet another opportunity for them to showcase that they can play topside and play around Kongria. This is a lot about Kongria rather than any of the other laners. Make sure he gets ahead. And for the side of DCG, I feel like they're very pick oriented, right? You have the Mordekaiser ultimate, you've got the Vi ultimate, very clear single target elimination champions, and the Rakan also able to amplify that. And for J-Team, I think they have a much better straight up 5v5 front to back.
Okay, we'll see which team is able to hold strong here. Again, the stakes are incredibly high going into this one. The winner gets to skip the first round of postseason, while the loser has to face Beyond Gaming, the biggest joker of the league here and a potential danger to any team in the upper bracket. We're going to head to the Rift just shortly. These two teams have split the head-to-head over this split one game apiece. And frankly, the games haven't been all that close. You know, it's been pretty much decided by the mid game. So I want to ask you, who do you see coming out probably earlier? Like, who can dominate the mid game in your view?
I think this mid lane will end up going heavily in the favor of Uniboy. And depending on where, if Viego does path towards the top side, Sejuani, again, brings a lot of early game damage in any sort of top lane matchup. So it's very possible we get a quick snowball on this top half of the map. And it's hard for either of these bot lanes to really carve out a very tangible lead, as both of them kind of in this handshake matchup.
Wow, this this seems to be somewhat scripted. Both sides holding on to their auto attacks right there.
It's a J-Team multiverse, you know?
A friendly handshake early on. We got the Abduct coming through for Nesty. Not going to hit onto anything. And just taking a look at the runes. Pretty standard across the board. And just like he called it, calls from both sides. Do expect more action to be coming towards the top lane.
Union Boy opting for the Conqueror, knowing that he's dealing with 4 low-range champions on the side of DCG. Even though there is a decent amount of mobility, should be able to easily get the Conqueror stacks stacked up very quickly. Adds that extra bit of sustain, but mostly it just adds on a ton of early damage once he gets that stacked up as well. So a lot of poke and a lot of scaling damage coming in from Uniboy.
Yeah, Leaky just throwing in some love taps against the Sejuani. We have seen how this matchup typically does go. You know, once the Mordekaiser gets a little bit of that lane push going in, it's actually kind of hard for Sejuani to fight back. But of course, the gank threat is always there. We do have Leaky going with his TP. This is usually what he brings with the Mordekaiser. And we are going to get bottom side starts from both the junglers, as you said, heading top side.
Both teams identifying that, hey, we've got farming bot lanes. All the action should go top here.
Ooh,
good sidestep.
Doesn't get anyone. It's going to take almost half his HP for that one. But a good trade back onto Kriskata with the level 2 advantage. Pressing forward onto Little V. And everything going as expected here as a Sivir. Does get a big shove early on.
Another thing to note is the fact that Leaky is running the Ghost. So a lot of team fight power coming out. Also has the chase potential in the lane phase. But kill pressure definitely goes over to Rock in this instance since he is rocking the Ignite. So all the more reason for Kongre to spend more time top here because of the ability to just get access to snowballing off of this top lane. Now it's going to be him making his way over. Pop that vision plant maybe. Will throw on the ward, knows that there's no one actually around here. And this would be a very ballsy dive.
Yeah. Leaky's still incredibly healthy at this point. I don't think they can burst him through, but they certainly will try as they go underneath the tower. Let's see who is tanking this one up. It's going to be Rock. And first blood over to Leaky. Kongre might fall as well. Oh, he walks back. Kongre able to avert disaster, but first blood does go over to the side of the Mordekaiser.
No way. He actually survives the tower shot with like 10 HP. That was... Look, I think both of us can agree that that was not the best dive attempt at level 3. Especially when Leaky is pretty much 80%. I just want to see how much health Kongre has at the end here. And this is just all about saying, hey, we just want to deny the extra EXP and gold from this minion wave. Ooh, that might have been literally 1 HP.
Yeah, Leaky could have got him just with the passive running there. But
yeah, just getting close enough to hit him with the Mordekaiser Sunfire.
True. As we are going to see the bot lane trade still going incredibly well for the Sivir. As we've seen throughout the entire week, this is kind of what we expect. Now taking a look at the top lane, we actually get a call coming in from Leaky, already thinking about later on into the matchup. Well, the tier does come out on the side of Rock. Really good defensive fight. Oh, he was spotted right there.
Yep.
Oops.
Not patient enough. It will prevent Leaky from walking up to the wave at least. And that's still a good situation, right? Because Rock does have a very sizable wave advantage. And even getting taxed a little bit.
Oh, Kongre is still going to go through. He's not going to find the stun. And
now
in comes Hana for the turnaround. However, we don't have the Death's Grasp there landing here for Leaky. So J-Team are able to walk out of this just fine. But Kongre might have a little bit of trouble inside his own jungle as we now have the Mordekaiser leading lane. Leaky, once he hits level 6, he could just trap Kongre down. So we have to pay very close attention to how close he is. Oh, Hana gonna find Kongre over the wall with the Vault Breaker. Tons of damage being done already. Conqueror being procced. And Kongre has to run away.
Much better duelist in the 1v1. Coming in with the Vi. especially once you land that Vault Breaker, getting the additional proc onto your W. Once again, like Diego, you can have those big pop-up moments in team fights, but it feels like unless if your mid laner is just completely smashing, which I would have expected to see, you just never win the 1v1 against a lot of the other junglers right now. And I'm also surprised that Uniboy isn't dominating this mid lane, similar to, what Mission was doing to Pretenders.
Yeah, that's a big red flag right here. Now, to be fair, Kongr has spent the majority of his time in plain view and in the top lane. So I think that might have something to do with just Uniboy kind of not pushing the lane as hard as he potentially could, because he knows that Vi is likely going to find him. But yeah, the laning phase not going the way that we expected to for J-Team. I totally agree with you in terms of our pre-game look at things, is that J-Team should have some sort of a lead in the top side. They do, but it's a very, very minor lead.
Yeah, doesn't feel as it's quite enough. And Tier 2 boots completed by Leaky with the Ghost makes him incredibly difficult to actually lock down. Lil V off on his own, but he's hugging the wall, so it's very difficult for DCD to just find a 2v1 kill. However, Hana is level 6 now, so while he is starting out this dragon, even later on, if he ever does see Lil V, he can just chase him to literally the ends of the earth with that ultimate. The cease and desist. Once he's locked on, he's kind of going on a one-way trip, for better or worse.
We have no contest from J-Team so far. And I want to ask you, when should J-Team start to panic? When do they say, okay, we might be falling a bit too far behind and we have to look for plays?
When you look at the lanes, I feel like all the lanes will feel comfortable at most stages of the game, except for maybe Rock later on when Leaky is able to start winning out in the 1v1s. But a potential catch here.
Gonna be tagged up. He still
Everyone's
has the
here.
quickness available. Hana going through directly with the season desist. They're gonna burst the Viego down immediately. Rock going forward to get the kill onto the support. The fight is on.
Uniboy's dead.
Trapped in the Death's Realm. He's still alive for now, but can he run away? He's going in the wrong direction here. Little V has to jump across the wall. Is gonna take his pet cat with him, but Uniboy, is he gonna be as lucky? Takes one tower shot. Nesty coming in. He gets the slow onto Little V. He charges forward with the Kingslayer. Ooh. Not enough damage, but Hana still hot on the heels, and he's not going to find it. The carries do make it out alive, but they leave their supporting cast and also the Herald to DCG.
Enzo coming out clutch in that instance to keep his AD carry alive, just barely by the narrowest of margins. And Diego, man.
I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
As we get to see the replay, they jump onto Woody, think they have the catch, but the reinforcements are there. The ultimate is just much more useful coming in from the Vi at this stage in the game, because everyone is just so fragile that it's so easy to just tear a person apart. And in tandem, like the combination of cease and desist along with the Mordekaiser ultimate just prevents J-Team from ever 5v5ing in that fight, right?
Yeah, we saw Uniboy get very little mileage in that team fight. He had to use the Emperor's Divide in the Death Realm, and that did not carry over to the real world there. So, massive impact by Leaky. It's always terrifying to fight this Mordekaiser early on, and we do have surprisingly not as much of a gold lead as I would have assumed. Only 300 gold here. Let's see if Uniboy is able to walk back to lane just fine. He's crossing the ward. Everyone's catching back onto him. Divine Thunder over the wall. What an alley-oop, and they push Hana back over to finish up onto Enzo. That's gonna be quite an interesting sight here. Little V trying to chase up on.
This is a reset, maybe?
Into the back line. Little V barely gets out. Rock is here first. Mordekaiser not here, so they're trying to fight a 5v4, but it's not going their way. Rock finally gets a return kill. Cruzcata actually flashes over 1v2. Barely gets Little V. The ricochet goes back, but it's not enough to take down the Zeri.
That was a clear showcase of Viego nerf in that fight, right? He lost damage on that execute power from the ultimate, and that was the narrowest of margins for that first reset, right? So if they got that, if this was Viego pre-nerf, this would have been a much different fight, possibly. But you see here, DCG, they understand how to play a pick composition, and that as well. I mean, you just go in on these isolated targets, and the turn comes, and you're going to see the ultimate come through from Kongria on the re-engage. It just comes very short, 120-ish HP. And that certainly is the difference of that execution power, and even at the end, living on pretty much 1 HP there. Eventually falling, and Enzo once again coming up clutch, keeping Lil V alive, even though he does bring a ricochet over, the extra shielding able to keep his AD carry alive.
And I do want to remind everyone that actually was a 4v5 fight.
Yep.
TCG won that handedly. They also got a free turret plating in the top side with Mordekaiser pushing in. Finally, they have established themselves a very strong gold lead. We haven't seen this Viego being able to do much of anything here. Now we are going to go into the Mountain Drake fight. This time around, Leaky has come down first. Rock doesn't have his TP, so I wonder if J-Team are even going to try and contest this one. They are going to be outnumbered and outgunned for sure in this one.
I think they're going to give. It's going to be Rock on the Krug, so he's just trying to get as much gold as he can. And with that in mind, yeah, J-Team will just go ahead and concede it, knowing that the Mordekaiser isn't showing topside. So definitely the possibility of that Mordekaiser making his way over, and these smite fights are impossible if you have to try and smite against a Mordekaiser team, right? So the moment you show your face, you just get ulted by Mordekaiser, and it's only a PvE situation. But a possible catch.
Bottom side, Cruzcata in trouble here, but if they're going to turn it around onto Kongria, goodbye. Couldn't finish that one fast enough, and that's going to be a 2-for-1. Little V, I think he senses danger as he's going to get cut off from the retreat. Yeah, maybe he didn't.
Wait.
Ooh, but Hana actually messes up the flash and doesn't find the stun. Rock gonna come in with
very much an easy turn.
Oh, Cruzcata actually able to shield block that, but yeah. Little V says all calculated, and we got ourselves a game.
I'm listening to the game sounds, and I just immediately hear ping, 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 ping right after it all died. So that's someone clearly unhappy from one of these teams. Whether it's just hard pinging a summoner or hard pinging the fact that there's a bit of a whiff or a cooldown. But Clement, let's talk about this Viego thing. He died again. He didn't do anything.
It's about the mind game, okay? It's about Little V outplaying. If Viego didn't set him up, would they dive in like this? Watch this from Hana. Oh, this is gonna hurt. Oh,
very comical. That was really comical. And Rock able to get here in time to turn things around. Uniboy even able to snag a kill for himself too, which is huge. Because one of the win conditions when we saw the draft is, well, Uniboy should be able to hard smash. But when you look at the scoreline so far, it's 2-0-4 for Nesty. And he's only 10 CS behind. Uniboy hasn't been able to leverage much in this particular matchup. So really just DCG understanding where they need to play. And again, this is a squad that I think has the highest floor out of all of our top 4 squads.
Yeah, they're super consistent in game all the time. Nesty this split especially has been popping off. We are going to get an objective fight onto the top side. Excuse me, not a fight. TCG just going to take this one free. as J-Team try to close out on the bottom lane. Big bounty on Nesty. They have a 3-man setting up. It will be a 1v3 situation.
Has Crown.
Going in underneath the tower, but the wave is nearly cleared off, and someone has to tank this one. Kongyue is going to walk away after taking 2 tower shots. Herald already popped for Hana, and Yinaboy senses something ain't right around this tower. He's just going to back off, give it over.
And he builds another tower that gets knocked down. That tower's not going to last too long there. Things considering, DCG do have a almost 3K gold lead. Nothing quite to write home about, but it's certainly nothing to scoff at as well, and the first item purchases are going to be really important. Kongyue does have the Divine Thunder completed, and while I would say Hana with this completed Chain Sword is going to have the bigger 1-item power spike, at 2 items I do feel like Kongyue will start to offer a little bit more than the Vi.
Yeah.
Red team's turret has been
Engage potential, a little bit more damage coming out. I do want to ask though, how does J-Team play against the Mordekaiser? Leaky, you know, so far he's not been joining the fights all that much, but once he does, oh, it's just so terrifying to think about. I'm not sure how J-Team play up against this Mord.
Well, let me tell you about Leaky's Mordekaiser. He's played 3 games of it, and he's had a 100% win rate. And he has a 9.3 KDA. This man, when he gets this champion and the situation allows it, is just run away with these games. And again, I have to be critical. J-Team, they blinds pick the Sejuani and allow Leaky the opportunity to pick up the Mordekaiser, where in a blind pick situation, it's hard for me to think that they would opt for the Mordekaiser themselves. And that's going to really hamper them, especially for these objective fights.
You have the
much less
coming down.
full-blown
Mordekaiser
team
does
fights.
have the TP here. And J-Team, I think they sense danger. They realize that there's a real chance
We're coming in.
Oh,
it resets.
Oh, they reset the
Oh, that's
Drake.
game
They
over.
don't get anything done here, but DCG
They
don't
have
have
to
a
leave.
great angle of engage. They're just going to say thank you very much and take down the 3rd Drake of the game. Ooh, J-Team, back out a little bit. I wouldn't say they backed out early, but the Drake was missed opportunity for sure there.
Yeah, it was, I would say, quite unfortunate in that situation that the Dragon actually reset, because the plan was actually quite good coming in from J-Team. We go in, start the Dragon, we're going to be able to burn this objective down before the Mordekaiser comes with that ultimate, but the reset prevents that from actually happening. So they're forced to then just full-on disengage because they know they will never win that smite fight against the Mordekaiser. And now it's a bit of a waiting game. Maybe they decide to pull the trigger once Lil V hits the 3rd item. Maybe it's when Uniboy hits his 2nd item. I think the 2nd item on the Azir will be pretty critical in this instance. It will amplify a lot of his damage and really transition him from more of a engage carry to an actual backline hyper carry. But Lil V also definitely a lot of carry threat. 2 completed items right now. And while Cascada also packing a lot of punch, the Zeri in these moments can have a lot of impact.
Leaky still looking damn terrifying here. He has almost the highest farm in the game, 954.
Yep.
Rock doesn't want any part of him, and this is what I love about Leaky's build. He does go for the demonic embrace second. You know, he usually skips the Y line, wants to do even more damage to the front line when he can. And it's terrifying when Mordekaiser is the most fed person on the team. He's been split pushing the entire time. Kongyue gonna face check right into a gank squad. Goodbye, V8. Go. Maybe I spoke a little bit too soon.
Alive.
He manages to get out with the Zoomies. Ignite's still burning, but he's gone. He's out. Viego, you see, he's not as bad as Lee Sin. Lee Sin would have died there, I think.
Lee Sin also has a lot of escapes. I'm not quite sure about that one, Clement.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something good for Kongyue's Viego pick. This has been incredibly underwhelming, if I'm being completely honest.
It's been A very disappointing game coming in from Korea. Yeah, not much to say about that Viego pick. We get to see the gold graph. It's been smooth sailing so far for DCG. Can they maintain that tempo? One of the big differences that we've seen in this particular matchup over a very similar one that we saw in the previous game with the Pretender Silas versus the Mission Azir is the fact that Nesty still has the crown, but when he walks up into these fights, he's not getting his crown popped early, which means once the fight actually breaks out, he has a lot of kill threat because of the extra damage and the durability coming out from that active.
Yeah, J-Team really need to find a stray shot onto him or just get Uniboy to poke him down before this happens. So far, DCG still dominating the map at this point. They have both side lanes controlled here. 3,000 gold lead. And we're looking at an Hextech Soul in 90 seconds. How did J-Team come back in this fight? Because they are going to be forced to go towards that objective.
They are very much going to be forced to contest it, because if they do give it up, will be so much extra chase potential, so much extra damage coming in. Nesty eating a little bit of damage. At least he's got honey fruit there. Huh? Okay. Yeah, sure. He healed. No problem. DCG, they are in firm control, and for J-Team, they're trying to play around the pick power coming in from Viego Yuumi. Just hasn't panned out, because literally every single time Konya looks for a pick or tries to explore the map, there's 3 people waiting for him, and he's just forced to ult away every single time.
Yeah, it does seem to be the problem right here. DCG, they're still completely uncontested in River Vision. Konya trying to get a speedy entrance into the river. No such luck. And here we go. This is for the Hextech Soul. J-Team have to advance here. I don't think they can survive giving up the soul. Gonna try and find their angle through this ramp. Rock does make it into the river. In he goes onto Hana, but they don't find the kill just yet. And then we have the quickness onto the ramp. Leaky amongst everyone here, but he might have gone a little bit too deep. He's trying to find Rock, and he gets the death scratch back onto Konya. Rock is the first one to fall, and in goes the rest of the team. That's completely
first reset.
Down. Little B still trying to cut away from this one. He will get out, but only him and the support do survive here. DCG walk triumphantly towards the soul.
We finally get one reset for Konya in a team fight, and then immediately he gets taken down right after coming out of that soul form. DCG, they run away with the soul and a couple extra kills to boot. Now they'll even get themselves the Baron buff. So that went south very, very quickly for Jake.
Yeah, I have to say I love Leaky's target selection right there. He goes directly for the tank, and nobody else can walk down the ramp.
Yeah, they can't
like, oh well.
Because Korea has been set so far behind. Yes, he have the Yuumi to give a little bit of HP. We see it in the replay here. They engage onto the Vi, which makes a lot of sense, right? If they're going to steal your jungler for a smite fight, then at least we make it a full 50-50. We burst out the Vi. Leaky removes away Rock, and now they don't have any front line to actually apply the split pressure for the backline to actually do damage. And well, Viego got a team fight reset, and that was it.
And that was a fight that I frankly felt like J-Team actually had a pretty decent start of. You know, the quickness was used to zone. And if you watch that fight, Nesty missed all 3 of his abducts. He didn't land a single one. And,
it shows in the damage.
Yeah, I think that, you know, that's a massive Silas that didn't do anything in that team fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, they still couldn't close it out.
Yeah, and now they're just begging for a trap to happen here.
Oh, it might happen onto Leaky. Never mind, Leaky's way too tanky. What was that? Your ability? Okay. I spoke too soon.
Decent chunk of damage, but if you can't one-tap him while he's stunned, he will be able to press the R key, and then it's no bueno afterwards. So J-Team, they at least fish for a play, but the tables are really, or the odds are really stacked against them. They're down 7k, they're down the Hex Sextol, they're also down a Kongria.
Oh, Hana just going in for this one, but he might have gone in too far. Final chapter zones everyone away, and that's the first reset. In goes JT. They're chasing down everyone. But Leaky's gonna turn it around as he goes to the death row directly onto Little V. He finishes off. He's not afraid of the chase down whatsoever, and JT crumble after getting the first kill.
They finally get the pick that they've long awaited. Unfortunately, it was on to Hana, who just isn't packing the same amount of bedness the rest of his squad is packing, and now that'll just be the end of the game.
That's the Edward divide on the other side. Rock trying to run away on the Sejuani. Bristle not going to make it to the fountain, and congratulations to PCG. They prove that the version 2 is better than the original. They beat the prototype here and advance as the best team out of the J-Team universe.
DCG, they looked a little off coming into spring playoffs, but a different version here coming into summer. And if you'd like to have a better version, you'd love to have the better version in the summer split where world slots are on the line.
You can see Cold Ice. He is so happy right here. He used to be the analyst for J-Team, so he gets a bit of sweet revenge against his home organization. Nicely done. Incredible game from Leaky. And I just can't get over how much these Viego, Reset, Yumi compositions have just not been cutting it.
They've hard fizzled out of. And just imagine a world where you're able to get mid lane priority with Uniboy on the Zir, and then you have a Lee Sin to take advantage of that lane pressure or lane priority. You can constantly invade then to just choke Hana out of his own jungle. And one of the things when we highlight about this team is that they work well as a mid jungle between Nesty and Hana, but they aren't the most dominating 2v2. They will concede a lot of things early on if you attack them directly. And J-Team's approach this game was very passive. They go for their biggest play was that level 3 dive, which was just so misconstrued.
Yeah, I felt like they gave Leaky way too much room in this one. I totally agree with you. The Sejuani pick, I looked at that, I was like, guys, are you forgetting something? Because I think you just summoned Sauron back into Middle Earth, you know, because he's just going to dominate all of you. And J-Team, throughout this game, they had 2 instances where they fought 5v4s, and they used Viego as the main initiation pool. That was just like, I'm not so sure about that one, you know? Like, they gave a lot of time for Leaky to just free farm on top side.
So not only was it allowing DCG to get that counter pick in the Mordekaiser, it was also saving all their draft resources in locking in R5 Viego. So both things just went catastrophically wrong, Clement.
Yeah, that's my meme today. I don't really get it. The R4 and R5 picks were kind of sus, if you ask me right there. I feel like they should have gone for a pure disengaged composition. Not sure what they were thinking about the last 2 ones. And, you know, Mordekaiser, he's a powerful pick, but I don't think he usually looks like this. Like, even in the good Leaky games, there has been some more back and forth with the Mordekaiser.
He has gotten to be pretty monstrous towards the end of the game each game, though. So,
yeah,
it's mostly about slowing him down in the early game and J-Team, the level 3 dive was not it. So we get to see the post-game damage charts. Of course, it was mostly Silk Cascada, but a lot of Leaky in there. But the more important graph to take a look at is that gold difference. There was never a spike in the direction of J-Team, and Leaky clearly gets MVP with how much of a raid boss he was in this game.
Always got to remember his Mordekaiser. He's now 4-0 on the pick. They're going to be going up into the second place slot, awaiting the winner from Beyond Gaming versus J-Team. And I hope that people still remember it by the time that postseason comes around. That's going to be our tiebreaker so far. Now, we have all 8 teams locked into their slots. I'm sure we're going to have the bracket up a little bit sooner, but I want you to talk me through our first couple of matches. The first one, of course, is going to be our 4th and 5th place between CFO and Frank. Who do you think is going to be coming out of that one?
A lot of questions do need to be answered by both of these squads in the 2-week break, as of course we are going to be shifting over to a completely new patch, so it feels like it's going to be a completely different game, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of which of these teams will be able to adapt more. I'd like to see Frank Esports advance in this matchup, but clearly when you're gone 0-3 in the season record, it's hard to make the prediction of Frank Esports actually being able to take this one. And the second matchup is even more intriguing though, right? J-Team, Beyond Gaming. J-Team, 5-game win streak coming into the last game of the split against Beyond Gaming. Drop it and then drop back-to-back against DCG to now fall into this 3-6 matchup against Beyond Gaming, who have been the ultimate jokers this split.
I'm going to get you to commit. I'm going CFO and J-Team in the first round.
All right.
Who's your pick? Let's go.
Oh, this is my heart, really. I want Frank Esports Beyond Gaming.
Okay, we're going absolutely different directions here. This is the most fun when our color casters actually have different opinions. Yeah, we'll see who does come out again. And just a reminder, we are going to be playing best of 5s in the first round. It's not like 2021. We have shifted all the way towards best of 5s. And we are going to be coming back into playoffs on August the 18th. I misspoke right there. We're going to start out with Beyond Gaming versus J-Team as our first match. All of those teams that you saw in the upper bracket do get one extra chance. They can lose one series, and then they can start over on the loser bracket. But for MFT and Impunity, they do not have that luxury. If they drop out, that's just the end of their postseason for them. We're going to be heading very close to Worlds after this one. And just to remind everyone what's on the line, the first place team does go directly to the World Championship. So it's been an absolute pleasure this split to cast with you, Nightstar. And this is me from Clement. Thank you all for watching, for sticking up with us in the PCS Summer Split. It's goodbye for now, and see you in playoffs on the 18th.